Hi, it's Father Ryan O'Neill again here in Granby, Colorado, responding to Bible Secrets Revealed mini-series on the History Channel. Well, I would just like to start this video by saying I do appreciate the Bible Secrets Revealed. For one thing in particular is that it has really brought to the forefront of many Christians the questions that they need to ask themselves in order to grow in an authentic faith, which requires faith and reason. So I do appreciate that about this series, that it brings up the controversial topics that most Christians don't want to deal with or don't know how to. And that's partially what inspired me to begin making these videos. Obviously, from a Catholic perspective, if you haven't noticed my Roman collar. In this episode, entitled The Real Jesus, I think one of the main points that they made that really struck me and that always bothers me a little bit about people who are critiquing the Bible, critiquing Christianity, is that they said Jesus espoused a profound religious philosophy. That was his main goal. That was his main teaching. And what was that religious philosophy? The divine life in every man or person. Well, to answer that, I would just propose this question. Did Jesus teach? Because at one point in this miniseries, there's an implication that Jesus is pretty much just a Jewish Buddha. Did Jesus teach? Yes, of course. Even Christians believe that Jesus was a teacher. He's called rabbi all up and down the New Testament. But it's not a teacher like we think of a teacher. Most of us think public school teacher or university teacher or a guru who knew what he was doing because he had some enlightenment. It's not like that. He didn't have a PhD in religious studies. He didn't have that. Many think this. For example, Jesus came to teach us how to play the piano really well so that we could play Bach or Mozart or Beethoven. If we just do what Jesus tells us to, then we can play the piano really good. That's what kind of teacher Jesus is. But I would say not. I would say Jesus is not that kind of teacher. Jesus is a teacher who has come with an entirely new instrument. Entirely new. No one's ever seen it before. It's not a piano. We don't know what it is. And he wrote this stunning piece of music for it. Stunning. And he wants to teach us how to play that instrument to make this beautiful music that he himself has written. Now, is he a teacher? Yes. But not a teacher as most people think of teacher. He came to teach us how to live a new life according to a new world order. He's more than a teacher. Jesus is also more than a teacher. He goes around forgiving people's sins. He walks on water. He heals the blind, the deaf, the lame. He exorcises demons and many other examples, which show that he is more than a teacher. But if there is a conflict between faith and reason, like this episode, like this mini-series wants us to believe, then miracles cannot be counted. They have to be ignored. Therefore, we can only look at his words. But why do magical acts? Why is he doing these magical acts, as one of the professors on the episode called them? Just to prove that he's God? And they say, Jesus never taught that he was the Messiah. He never said that. Of course not. Of course not. If you look only at his words, he didn't say that. But with every example I just listed, he did say that. That's because there's an understanding that many people in academia have, and in the public sphere, that we approach the Bible the same way we approach journalistic writing. That it's either facts or it's fiction, which is not how the Bible is written. So, number one, let's look at forgiving sins. Jesus forgives sins. He forgives other people's sins who did not sin against him. He forgives them. He heals the sick. He exorcises demons. All of these point to the fact that he considers himself the Messiah, the anointed one who has come to rule over Israel. The Jews at this time in the first century, they were living a spiritual exile. Even though they were in the promised land, they were there. But the temple was bunk, the Romans were in control, and even their own priesthood was corrupt. They were still living a spiritual exile. Jesus Christ proves through his actions and his words that he is the Messiah. First, by gathering together those exiles. Secondly, by reestablishing temple worship in himself. 3, by defeating the enemies of Israel. And 4, by becoming king. Now, I took these 4 points from Father Robert Barron and from N.T. Wright. As I already mentioned, he forgave sins. All of those actions, healing the blind, the lame, exorcising demons, all of those are to say, I'm gathering you back in from your exile. Secondly, he reestablished the temple within himself. In this episode, they talk about the cleansing of the temple and how Jesus got all angry because he was against the economy invading the temple. But I would say that the cleansing of the temple is a prophetic act that the temple worship no longer is legit outside of himself. Because they were selling things to offer sacrifice in the temple. And now he's saying temple sacrifice no longer is efficacious outside of me. Flip over the tables, get rid of the doves, get rid of the money changers. The temple is me now, is what he's saying. I'm the Messiah! Then he says, then they focus on this one fact. I love it. It's the one thing that I love in the episode. They say, every historian agrees that Jesus was crucified. All right, finally they got something right. And at the crucifixion, Jesus fulfills his role as the Messiah, battling the enemies of Israel. Satan, sin, and death. And he won. And then they mention Pontius Pilate posting the sign above his head, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, and how this was some kind of subversive message that Jesus came to establish a kingdom on earth and failed. But his followers took that and they made the church instead. But no. What they're missing in both of these, in his crucifixion and in the fact that he became king, is they're missing the resurrection. The resurrection of Christ. The only way to explain Christianity and to explain how Jesus fulfilled these 4 aspects of what it means to be the Messiah is that he rose from the dead. And they try to brush it off and say that the apostles had a feel-good moment after his death and all of a sudden decided to keep, spreading his doctrine and his love. And they had such a feel-good moment that was so strong, they decided to die for it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They say Jesus Christ was just a mortal man, but in the end, he wins because his movement prevailed. Once again, it comes back to power. 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 They think that it's all about a power play. Look at history. Look at history. Read the Beatitudes that Jesus spoke with his mouth. Blessed are the losers, if I may summarize. Blessed are the losers, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, because Jesus himself lost on the cross and won in the resurrection, which is what each of us as Christians are called to do and imitate through our own death, through our own life. And I think that is what's missing in this episode, is a lack of faith. A lack of faith combined with reason in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing the last few episodes of the miniseries. God bless you.